The first time the mountain roared, it wasn't thunder or avalanche. It was laughter. It rolled up from the road below as Rachel Monroe dragged a load of timber toward the dark mouth of a limestone cave, her breath fogging in the early autumn air. Truck slowed. Head shook. Someone honked and shouted a joke she pretended not to hear. In that moment, with pine needles crunching under her boots and the cave yawning cool and patient behind her, Rachel understood something most people never do. When you choose a path guided by conviction instead of approval, the noise gets louder before it goes quiet. Rachel was 36, a Christian woman born and raised in the Appalachian foothills of West Virginia, where faith and hard work were stitched together like seams in an old quilt. After her husband died in a highway accident and a medical spiral drained their savings, she lost a farmhouse they'd planned to grow old in. What remained was grief, a few tools, and land inherited from her grandfather, rocky, wooded, and crowned by a shallow cave he used for storing apples during the Depression. The cave had kept fruit crisp through summers and unfrozen through winters. Rachel remembered that. She remembered the stories. And when the world narrowed, she chose to build inward, not outward. If you believe in the silent hero and in second chances earned through perseverance rather than applause, please take a moment now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who values quiet courage, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this live because people like you carry them forward. Rachel didn't announce her plan. She didn't ask permission. She studied airflow, stone mass, and the way cold settles and moves. She built a timber frame inside the cave's mouth, set back far enough to hide from the road, sealed gaps with clay and straw, and laid a low roof designed to hold warmth. The cave did the rest. Its walls stayed steady while seasons shifted outside. In summer, it stayed cool. In fall, it stayed calm. And as winter crept closer, it promised something precious, consistency. The mockery continued. Neighbors said she was running from life, hiding like an animal. They warned her about dampness and darkness, about loneliness, about bears and storms and safety codes. Rachel listened politely, thanked them, and kept working. She worked through sore hands and long nights, through doubt that whispered when she lay awake on a thin mattress beneath stone that had seen centuries. She prayed there, too, quietly, asking not for rescue but for steadiness. Faith, to Rachel, was not the absence of fear. It was a decision to keep building while fear watched. By November, the weather turned. The forecast grew urgent. Meteorologists spoke of a polar plunge, an Arctic blast that would sweep down with wind, ice, and record-breaking cold. The town prepared the way they always did. Salt on roads, plastic on windows, extra groceries. Rachel prepared the way she always had, by testing seals, stacking wood, and trusting the earth to do what it had always done. The storm arrived without mercy. Temperatures fell faster than predicted. Wind howled through hollows like a living thing. Power lines snapped under ice. The grid failed in pockets, then across entire valleys. Houses built wide and tall lost heat as quickly as they lost electricity. Pipes burst. Furnaces stalled. People huddled under blankets and counted hours. Inside the cave, Rachel listened to the storm like a distant sea. The stone walls absorbed the cold and released it slowly. Her breath did not fog. The candle flame stood steady. She slept deeply the first night, then woke to check on neighbors, snowshoeing down the slope with supplies tied to her pack. She found an elderly man with frozen pipes and numb hands, a family whose generator had died, a couple arguing in the cold, fear sharpening every word. She guided them, one by one, back up the trail. They stepped into the cave and stopped short, stunned by the warmth. The shelter was modest, wooden bunks, a small stove, shelves of jars, but was alive with heat held gently by stone. Coats came off, hands thawed, voices softened. People who had laughed stood blinking back tears they hadn't expected to shed. Rachel made tea, shared bread, and assigned tasks without fanfare. The cave didn't feel hidden anymore. It felt like a heart. The storm did not end quickly. It lingered, a heavy presence that pressed days together. More neighbors came. Rachel coordinated trips for medicine and firewood. She showed people how to insulate their own spaces with simple measures. She prayed when asked and worked when prayer needed hands. The cave held them all. Stories, worries, Children's laughter at the novelty of echoes, the quiet dignity of survival shared. When the cold finally loosened its grip, the town emerged changed. Damage reports came in. Insurance adjusters walked through rooms warped by ice and water. Officials asked questions about the cave, about how it stayed warm, about what lessons might be learned. A local paper ran a small piece with a photograph taken from the road, the cave entrance barely visible among trees. The headline spoke of ingenuity, but Rachel declined interviews. She didn't want credit. She wanted preparedness to feel ordinary. Spring arrived late that year. Snow melted reluctantly, feeding streams that ran loud and brown. Neighbors stopped by the cave not to gawk, but to ask for advice. They built smaller, smarter additions. They learned to work with the land instead of against it. The laughter never returned. Respect did. Rachel stayed in the cave. She planted a garden on the slope, set beehives where the sun reached early, and hosted Sunday prayers where voices lifted softly against stone older than any of them. She taught children how insulation works, and elders how memory can save lives. She told the story of her grandfather and the apples, of how wisdom often waits quietly until you need it most. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that courage doesn't always stand in the open but sometimes builds in the shadows to protect others, please like this video, share it with someone who needs reassurance today, and subscribe to the channel so more stories like this can find their way home. Before the ending, we have one special request. Comment below and write "Built to Last" if you believe preparation is a form of love. Years later, when winter warnings flashed again, the town didn't panic. They checked seals, shared supplies, and remembered the season when a woman trusted stone and silence more than noise. And high on the hillside, where a cave kept watch as it always had, a warm light still glowed. Proof that sometimes the safest places are the ones built quietly, long before the storm arrives.